If another driver hits your car, you expect to get paid for the damage and for your injuries, but that is not always the case if that driver happens to be a law enforcement officer on duty.
And now the state wants to make sure it doesn't have to pay up, even if one of its own troopers is at fault in a crash. Here's KXAN investigator Brian Collister.
7133 Austin.
A DPS trooper is pulling over the driver of this white pickup for not having a front license plate. But before he can make the traffic stop, the trooper turns in front of this oncoming car. Anasty Mirasol was driving that car. This is the first time she's seen the dash cam video from her accident in 2012.
I really think the biggest thing for me has been how much pain I went through.
Anasty says the pain eventually required back surgery and left her owing more than $120,000 in medical bills. So she sued the Texas Department of Public Safety, which refuses to pay up, even though it ruled the accident preventable.
So he's in the wrong. He changes your life. They won't pay a penny.
Yep, that is the short version.
How does that make you feel?
Frustrated, angry, betrayed.
The Attorney General's office, which represents DPS, argued in court a state law gives officers immunity in cases like this. But a Travis County judge disagreed and ruled this case should go to trial. The judge wrote, "The issue is whether a reasonable officer could have believed apprehending the pickup driver immediately justified taking any increased risk in driving. The Department of Public Safety has not proven that a reasonably prudent officer could have believed this. The Attorney General's office has appealed that ruling." We showed the case to Austin attorney Mike Shaughnessy, an expert in sovereign immunity law.
The state makes the rules.
And those rules make it nearly impossible for you to sue the state.
This doesn't just apply to the state of Texas. It applies to all governmental entities in the state. So it's going to apply to every city, every county, every university, all the special purpose districts. They all get this. And it is in recognition of the fact that they wouldn't be able to provide the services unless they had protection.
But DPS has paid up when it's made mistakes before. The agency has used taxpayer money to pay out more than $8 million in hundreds of lawsuit settlements and claims since 2000. The Attorney General's office would not comment on why it's appealing the judge's decision, but in a court filing, the AG basically says the lower court judge got it wrong and Anasty is to blame for not stopping in time to avoid the collision.
I wasn't sure what was happening. He didn't have his sirens on. I had seen the light, but the way he was traveling, I assumed he was going to another call.
So what happened to the trooper? DPS made him take an 8-hour driving course. Agency records show he'd had 3 other car accidents before this one. 2 ruled preventable.
I have went through so many consequences financially, emotionally, physically because of his decision, and to feel that he went to a defensive driving class on Saturday, it's not fair.
DPS policy calls for a range of disciplinary action when a trooper causes an accident. Everything from counseling to increased driver training for the first accident, all the way up to being moved to a job where they're not allowed to drive, to even potentially being fired after the 6th preventable accident. In this case, DPS would not comment because it's still ongoing. When the judge makes a ruling, we'll let you know. Brian Collister, KXAN Investigates.
And we took a closer look at DPS traffic data for the last 7 years and found troopers statewide have been involved in more than 4,200 crashes. And 37% of the time, the agency said the trooper could have prevented the crash. If you want to take a closer look at that dash camera video showing the wreck in our story, check out the investigative section of KXAN.com right now.